this is Harrison. He's talking to you. I'm gonna let him do his thing.
Hi, I'm Harrison Laizure. I work for Walla Walla Dental Care as a marketer, but before that, for 4 years of my life, I worked for Nylock Detroit, Loctite's #1 competitor. I was a machine builder and R&D specialist at the age of 19. It was a very interesting job. I got to travel quite a bit and meet lots of people. It showed me the importance of customer service. Even when you're working for a company itself, there still is a customer. I worked for Nylock. I did their research and development. They were my customer. I tried to show that when you go a little bit above and beyond, both in the interviewing process and your job as a whole, you can advance quite rapidly. So I went from pushing a broom to 6 months later, I was in Germany building machines for them. So the interviewing process was relatively easy. Come in, showed your skills, showed that I could push a broom. But other than that, I showed that I was willing and able to learn the skills required to do the job. So as much as this here's to welders and machinists, learning new skills is good for anyone. So I now work in marketing, so that's fun. I get to buy and sell people. It's always great, as much as people love it. So it's a new and interesting skill. I decided I wanted to be a dentist. It worked in my career. It works fine. So a little bit of everything helps. And one of the processes that my company uses for hiring new people anywhere is something called the cheeseburger test. It is exactly as it sounds. The gist is show up a little bit early for your interview, come in a little bit late, 2 minutes, not overly late, look a little frantic. I come in and I go, you know, so sorry, I've been working real hard today, we're seeing patients, we're backed up, I'm in back. I don't think I'm gonna have a lunch today, thank you for coming in. Would it be possible for me to have you go get me a cheeseburger? I will pay for your lunch, we'll have lunch, sit down, have a nice interview, get to chit chat, and we'll see how it goes. Your response obviously matters then. You could tell me to go, shove it, which that doesn't really help, but some people do, which is their prerogative. Now, if you said yes, I'll hand you a $50 bill for 2 cheeseburgers. A little high, right? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I told you, they're not awake yet.
As much as that's a little more for cheeseburgers, my response always is, your time is important to me. I'm so sorry that I was unprepared for this interview. Keep the change, please. But I'm a little weird. I get it. I'm a weird guy. I don't want my cheese touching the meat ever. It just gets slimy, it's gross, whatever. So could you please make sure that where you get it from, they don't let the cheese touch the meat. And don't get me wrong, it's not just because I'm weird and I don't like my cheese touching my meat. It's just ludicrous. So then you can be like, okay, or if you've already agreed, because we've already gotten to this point in the conversation, you go get my cheeseburger and come back, and obviously I look at it, and if it's right, I know one of 2 things. You either ordered it right, or your hands have been all over my cheeseburger and I'm not going to eat it. But that's not the point. The point shows that you're willing to go above and beyond what you thought you were going into, and that you could follow directions to the letter and go above and beyond. So I don't really care how the cheeseburger got the way it was. I just care that you either thought outside the box or made sure that those who were working did what they were supposed to do. So that's one lovely way of finding people who go above and beyond and would serve the customer just as well when asked of them, especially when they're getting paid to do so. So I was taught by the trainer for the Ritz-Carlton, which is a pretty high-end hotel, right? Nice. They greet you at the door. They're changing things a little bit because apparently not everyone likes getting swept off their feet and carried to the front desk, but as much as that, sometimes you have to modify your approach a little bit. Like welders, say you can weld. Most job applications or hiring processes will, in fact, take you out to the welder and make you show them what you're going to do. I had to do that when I worked for ND. It was okay. I wasn't super great, but it takes time. Having a good resume helps. Having accolades or letters of recommendation from your teachers helps a lot. Being personable, showing up early like this man did 38 minutes before I was even here. Makes me look bad, but makes you look good. It's a good thing. You want to look better than everyone else. You want to be incomparable. Not that you can't be compared, but that you are of such a higher standard above everyone else that it is unfair to others to be compared to you. So, questions so far? Got like 5 minutes. Yes.
So what if your interviewee is like a vegetarian and is completely appalled by the idea of a cheeseburger in the first place, but is still willing to go above and beyond?
That is exactly perfect. As much as their own personal bias, and I respect that. You can not eat meat if you want, which is cool. But you're serving the customer. It's always about them. As much as your employer is your boss, the customer is their boss. It's their money you're trying to get. And I think that's what it's about. But providing an excellent service to the customer makes them feel like their money was worth it. You're providing value. So if they disagree with me, but they're willing to go the extra mile to do what I asked, that shows great character, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, as much as that helps, but yeah, at Walla Walla Dental Care, we have a bunch of people from all different walks of life. We have a winemaker in our employ. Actually, he's one of the doctors, but you know, everybody needs a hobby. Apparently, his is dentistry. So it's a fun time. It's very interesting. I moved here about 2 years ago from a relatively urban area of Detroit, the thriving metropolis that it is. But well, come on, it's got wood-burning stoves all over the city. It's a great place. Can't wait to go back. But relatively urban area. I worked for General Motors for a long time. 3 years. I was an EMT for one of their private locations. They actually own a square mile of Detroit. So that's pretty cool. They have fenced off. They have their own police and fire. So it's a lovely time. Apparently people don't like to go home. Just find an engineer asleep on his desk. So, interviewing wise, your resume is super important. Super critical. It is your first impression to your employer. So having it spelled properly, not having it in Comic Sans, 12 point, the fun stuff. But like actual, not Kinko's copy paper goes a long way. I see a lot of those. It's not good. I've seen people turn in stuff where their name is spelled wrong. Have someone double check your work. It doesn't take that long. It's relatively easy. Email it in. It makes me want to call you. Don't have unnecessary skills. Like, know that your mom was this city councilman's daughter's second cousin doesn't count as a job skill. That doesn't matter. So we do a lot of group interviews, which is cool. You have a bunch of people and see how they work together. You'll find who's very competitive and who's very team-oriented. As a dental office, we're super team-oriented because we want the doctors to do well, which means we all do well. They're the ones who's making the money, and well, we all get paid for them. So if you have someone who's you want someone who does the job but is not toxic in the way. So that you want someone who helps others, not someone who undermines them while they're doing the job. So we do many small brain-teasing exercises in the job interview to provide stress. Like, hey, build this 400-piece puzzle in 5 minutes. See how far they get done, how 4 people cooperate as a team. It's it's an interesting process. A lot of diversity in age too, which can cause some problems, as Pam showed, but it can show quite when you get people to work together like that, you get the all walks of life, which is cool. So you get different views, which can show you multiple solutions to the same problem and find the best one. Any more questions?
Brad back there.
What's your opinion on like padding a resume or fibbing a little bit? Let's say, okay, so
I would never condone lying on a resume.
I'm 3/4 of the way through my degree, my AA in digital design. If I'm applying to be a digital designer, would it be all right to say I have my degree if, say, the position isn't going to open for 3 months?
Will you be done with your degree by the time the position opens? You don't get caught being a lie. That's just really awkward in a job interview.
Right.
It is. When you know someone's lying. Like, yeah, I welded for the Navy for 20 years. Oh, really? What unit were you in? Like, okay. Super. Like, they hammer that stuff into you, man. Don't. But once you get it, put it on there.
It's okay to put, we'll graduate.
Yes. You can be honest you can explain that exact situation on your resume. And it'll look so much better because it'll show that you have the integrity not to just say that you have the degree.
So what about a cover letter, Harrison?
Cover letters are important and absolutely fun to write, right? Super. They're great. Nobody really likes selling themselves. Nobody. Not even I do. I don't like sitting up here and talking to all you people. Nobody likes public speaking. It's super great. You get so many eyeballs looking at you. But that's what you have to do. It's important. It is your introduction to get the job. It's before you even have a conversation with this person. So if they find spelling errors, they're gonna, it doesn't look good. But if it's written well, even if you have subpar skills, I have interviewed people that didn't have the skills I was really looking for, but their cover letter was good. They had a good resume. They were prompt. They called me. That's super big. Show that you want it more than someone else. Show that you're willing to go that extra mile. So, hey, I didn't hear from you, and I sent in my resume. I was just making sure that you got it and that you had looked over it. That goes a long way. Like, don't call them every day, every hour on the hour, but send them just call them. It is truly a standout thing when that happens. It happens very rarely to me, but it's nice. Yes.
What about bringing in your resume after you already applied, just to kind of follow up?
Absolutely, do that. 100%. Bring in a second copy. It helps when you accidentally lose resumes, and it gives them a refresher. And in all honesty, names are hard. You see a lot of people. We're not trying to be impersonal, but if I'm looking at your resume, I won't forget your name, and that will make me feel better. And it reminds me of your skills. I can ask you about them. It'll make sure that you're not padding your resume, especially if something magically pops up that I didn't see before, but it's okay. As long as it's truthful and everything that you can do, especially in the skilled trades, they will ask you to do things. Be like, okay, well, thanks for the interview. Hey, do you want to run a bead real quick? Or machine this part? That's a big one. It's nice. It shows if you can do it, you probably have the job. They're just testing to make sure that you can actually run like a Bridgeport or a MIG welder, which is okay. Certain other things, it's going to be a little harder. They're not going to let you cut on hair or do people's makeup. Never worked in cosmetology, so I can't necessarily say.
No, they might do that. They might do that. Show what your skills are.
I know they could probably have you work a dummy. So, yeah, sure. You'll have to do OSHA training. It's super boring. It is boring beyond belief. It's mind-numbing. Get through it. Show that you fake enjoying it. It works super well. Because people see you enjoying that, they're either going to think you're crazy or that you really, really, really want the job, which is good. It's ludicrous. Like, you go through like a 37-page paperwork on how to lift a box. I'm not even kidding. The government has assigned a way on how you're supposed to lift a box and put it on another box for safety. One of the horrific things that happened while I was in ND was there was a work industrial accident, and one of the plants burned down. So it was a fun time, and OSHA came and they fined the company, all because some guy didn't know how to put out a cigarette on his smoke break and burned down the factory. just follow the directions. If you can follow the instructions at the beginning of the interview and during your employment, you'll go places. Or if you don't, find a job that will. There are lots of employers that want young people because the boomers are giving up and retiring, and nobody knows how to do the skilled trades. Nobody knows how to cut hair, weld, be a machinist. They're all exceptionally lucrative jobs right now. You don't need an excessive amount of schooling. Schooling's not for everyone. I didn't go to school for 5 years after I graduated high school. I went straight into a shop. I was running a bead when I was 16. It was an interesting time, but it's just what I had to do. School wasn't for me. Now that I found my passion and I want to be a dentist, it's better. It really is. When you like what you're doing, your job is easier. Yes.
So let's say I just finished interviewing you,
Okay.
and you feel it's gone really well, and I ask you if you have any questions for me. How do you answer that?
I'll always have a question. Treat it like a conversation. A polite one. But it's a conversation. You're talking to another human being. So ask them about the company. Don't get me wrong, don't go into an interview and know nothing about the company. Like, do some research. Look at their website. Call them. Be like, hey, what do you guys do? Don't tell them it's you on the phone because that looks a little weird, but have the research done. But if you'd like, hey, you guys haven't shown me around the building, or I haven't gotten, I'm really interested. Can I see what people are doing right now? So you ask that, it shows that you're. A lot of interviewing is just showing you want it. Yes.
You kind of said it with the cover letter, but nobody likes to praise themselves in a way. When they ask you what your strengths and weaknesses are, how do you spin that so you look good?
So your strengths are relatively obvious if you can do the skill and you're good at it. Just say that. Just say that, yeah, I think I'm pretty good at, or I believe I'm very good at MIG welding. If you'd like, I would love to show you. It's relatively easy to do. Your faults are a little different, but there's two ways you can kind of downplay a little bit, or say that I understand I'm a little lacking in this area that you're looking for, but I'm exceptionally willing to learn how to do it. That's something that I wanted to do. So there's that. And with that level of honesty, most people will overlook it or try to train you up. Obviously, if it's welding and you're applying to be a welder, don't apply to be a welder. If you don't know anything, like you don't know which end of the stick to put on the holder, don't apply to be a welder. But it is okay to have faults. Everybody does. They have faults. The person you're talking to has faults, or multiple people. It's not always going to be one person. Sometimes you can have the whole other side of the table is going to be full, and everyone's going to want to ask you a question, and everyone's going to want something different. But if you impress one of them, most likely they're going to talk to the other ones and help you out. So it's all about that. Yes?
So, with my experience with job interviews, it's kind of funny how you were going about cheeseburgers and all that, because I recently just applied to McDonald's, so that was great. With me in job interviews, I've always done this thing where I don't necessarily treat it as a job interview just because of how my anxiety is. And I still treat it as a job interview because it's exactly what it is, but I don't necessarily treat that person as like, you're my boss yet. They're still, but I also don't treat them as a friend. Like I show, this energetic, forthgoing side, but at the same time, I've always shown this like contained and somewhat side. So if you were to say interview me and you saw someone who was energetic, forthgoing, and kept going on and on and on, but not to a degree where it was concerning, how would you take that?
It'd be good. It would be perfect. That sounds like you're being interviewed. It's not. Treating your boss with respect is important. It is, but not enough to get nervous. Don't be skittish. They're just people. Just like me talking to you right now is all you have to do. That exact conversation you can have with an interviewer. Just Be polite, be formal, from the F-bomb, but it's a conversation to sell your time to the company. You're trying to impose that you have value that they don't have and that you can provide it, which is perfect. Sounds perfect. Like applying at McDonald's or getting a job interview at McDonald's. Who cares? It's a job.
Yeah.
It's experience. You're going through the process. In all honesty, McDonald's is probably one of the best places to apply to get the experience because they're a huge company. It's all standardized. Like McDonald's, Nylock Detroit's a $500 to $750 million company. Their job interview is very canned. It's very the same for everyone. They want certain responses, which is okay. That's what they want. So, in Walla Walla, it's a little hard because we don't have those big chains. We don't have, like a Costco that you can apply at, or just see like an exceptionally corporate interview, which is a little different, but it helps with the personability of your employer. They're all here. They've grown up here. They've lived here. They have kids here. You probably know their kids or them, which is okay. That's perfect. Having connections is part of a job. Building connections. Showing that you are personable and relatable and want to help others helps a lot. Because when you help the customer, chances are they end up spending more money. That's how it works. And as much as everyone likes to get paid, everyone likes to get paid and feel good about it. So, just provide a good service. Anything else? Jacket. You're welcome.
Thanks, man. What if they ask you, how much are you asking for pay? Like,
You can ask. Most of the time it'll be posted. Usually I would do that at the end of the job interview. It is much easier to ask someone something after they know you than you go up to a stranger and be like, hey, I want to work for you, how much you gonna pay me? It's just not something you're gonna do. But it is understandable. People understand that you have questions, and it is okay to express that you have those questions. Like when you're asked, do you have any other questions? You're like, yes, I'm sorry to bring this up, but we did not discuss pay, and that's important. It is important to get compensated for your belief, as I'm getting the no from Pam, but I don't mind it. My employers don't mind it.
Don't mind him.
You can't make a ruckus, you were late.
And you told us to be early.
I know.
He was earlier than I was. He was like here 38 minutes before class
Do you want to
started.
hear the truth or a lie?
Well, I'm sitting in front of your class, and I told him
Let's
not
start
to
with the
lie on
lie.
the resume.
Marcus did it. It's Marcus's fault. Actually, the truth is his best friend's dad was a little inebriated and couldn't drive him to school this morning.
Nice.
So
Don't
Mama
show
Pam
up
was
drunk to your
rescued.
job interview. Please, it's happened. Don't do it.
You don't want me 20 minutes late?
Don't do it.
Or high.
Yeah, or
Yeah, I
high.
just told everybody.
I know
I
it's
had
legal in the state of Washington. It's not legal federally. They can drug test you.
What if you're working at a pot shop?
Don't show up drunk.
Have you never heard the saying, don't get high off your supply? So if you're selling pot, don't get high off pot before you go in. Boy, I'm setting a great example, aren't I?
Did you tell the cheeseburger?
I did tell
Oh,
you.
darn it, I missed it.
Yes,
Okay.
you did. You've already
We
heard
found
it.
out Harrison is a little weird.
Yeah, I don't like cheese, and
That touches the burger.
that's okay.
Exactly.
But it's about
So
following
you get like
instructions.
lettuce in between, right?
I don't care what's in between, just as long as they don't touch. That's the only thing I was specific about. It's the one thing I'm looking for. And that I get a cheeseburger. I don't get like a veggie burger. That'd be a little weird. Like, I understand veganism is okay. I'm not. Please don't. Want cover letters, resumes? Yes.
When I do interviews, I don't use the cheeseburger method, but I use like open-ended questions, like, hey, even before they even come into the room to conduct the interview, because we do them on a panel. I dress like this. To let them know it's not all, you don't have to be tight ass about it. You can relax. So I'll ask open-ended questions like, hey, you know, you a sports fan? Or anything that does not have to do with the job. Anything that'll take your mind off the job. Anything that'll take you off stress, anxiety, and all that good stuff. I don't even want you to bring me your resume because I've already looked at it. For one, me and a couple other people have already looked at it, so we know who you are. You're probably my only interview of the day, if you really want to be real. So I know who you are. I just want you to show up on time. I don't care if I want you to be groomed. I don't want you to be nasty looking, but it's relaxed. It's not the end of the world if you don't get the job. And in fact, if I do like you, and I don't have a job for you, I would recommend you to somebody else.
Absolutely.
It depends on how you conduct yourself in an interview.
We do that all
Don't
the
come in there
time.
and be a dick. Like, I went in the job interview one time, was like, all right, that was a great interview. When can I start? It was like, yeah, we don't want you.
No. And I was very, it's good for them to be honest.
Right.
They're not wasting your time. But yeah, it makes all of that makes a lot of sense. The open-ended questions or the disarming questions make a lot of sense. They calm people down. Nobody wants to interview someone who's stressed. It takes time. You want them to relax. You want to see how they will interact with your customer. So, makes a lot of sense. Sports is a good one. You know, family, how long have you lived here? I opened with, I just moved here 2 years ago and am now leaving forever. But
Baby.
Well, I can't say much.
So, Harrison, did you talk about as your generation comes up and replaces us baby boomers?
Talked a little bit about it.
So I think that's going to be really important. We've got a lot of Gen Ys in here. So you and I had talked about how I taught the timelines.
Oh yes, we
So, yes.
intimately went over how I'm not using visual aids like you did.
Exactly. He knows about our panty discussion. And so maybe talk about maybe what you see different, because you work in an office where there's a lot of baby boomers and some Gen Xers that aren't wanting to come into management, but now you as a Gen Y are wanting to step up into management and take over for us, and how do you get rid of us?
No.
In a good way.
Have a maximum age on your employment on the contract when you come in. But yes, I work with a lot of boomers. A lot of boomers. They like waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just coming to work and going to bed at like 8. So I work with 2 doctors who both served together in the Navy. They live next to one another. Now they work together. It's weird. But like, no, 30 years down the road, they just saw each other on the street. And one of them offered the other one a job. And he was like, yeah, sure. And moved completely down to Walla Walla from Seattle. And Dr. Sam now works for Dr. Laizure. There are differences in values between the generations, of course, as Pam went over. But the boomers really like work ethic. They do. They want you to be early. They always do.
They like it. We like people who go above and beyond. Because
Yes.
that's what we.
That's their standard. If you're not, you're underperforming. And thus, they're going to get angry and not want to pay you your money. But if you go above and beyond, that's their standard of care. They were raised that way by the GI generation. They went above and beyond. They were called into duty. Pay was relatively horrible, and they went and died for their country. Everybody did. That's how they were raised. Their parents taught that to them, and in some extent to the Gen Xers. But
To what extent do you bring those values as a Gen Y into the practice? Or what other values are you bringing in that are new and fresh besides the cheeseburger? Because you have some great things that you do as a Gen Y-er for the business.
We were all born in the age of the internet, so that's cool. It's great. You can find stuff on the internet, sell whatever you want, buy whatever you want from wherever you want. Boomers didn't have that when they grew up, so they're all a little technologically illiterate, shall we say. So when you go into
I take offense.
I don't think he's going to make it out of this room alive.
He may
Have
not.
a conversation with the IT guy about How your computer's not working? Did you try turning it off?
All right, we stand corrected.
All right, already.
There's some of us that like our technology,
Yes.
however.
Yes. TV's working great.
That's right, and it flashes 12 all the time.
Now,
Does everybody know what that reference is? Okay.
Go ahead and tell them.
Oh, when VCRs first came, you guys all know what a VCR is, right? All right,
Yeah.
perfect. When VCRs first came out, our grandparents bought them and they thought they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. However, they could not set the clock and so it always flashed 12. So us, as late baby boomers, Miss Liz and I are late on the baby boomers, a little bit towards the Gen Xercise. Oh, look at that, I made a buddy. Exercise. Side. We would always set the clock and then there'd be a power surge and then Grandma and Grandma's clock would be blinking 12 again. So it kind of drove us nuts, kind of like how we're driving our children nuts. Because, you know, like, for instance, yesterday my cell phone would not connect to a call and it was my daughter who said, Mom, turn the damn thing off. Well, why would I do that? It's supposed to just connect so I can get on my conference call. Mom, sometimes it has a brain fart and you just have to do it. So she was right, so.
so with our generation bringing in technology, business, we end up, everyone wants to like the company they work for, right? Everyone wants to work for a visionary, Apple, Intel, IBM. Not so
just
much anymore.
want a job.
That works too. Not necessarily a career, but a job is a job. Everyone needs to survive. Use the same skills. Sometimes you can turn a job into a career. You can move up into management, buy a share of the company. That's an excellent way to go. Gen Y and the millennials end up wanting to work for a company that they believe in. It's important. Everybody wants to work towards a goal that they share. The boomers, not so much. The boomers want to work and then retire. That's their ultimate goal. They want to sit on their couch and watch TV.
Some of us want to travel.
Okay, Pam. Well, you're going to Spain.
3 years in county.
See, I don't ever plan to retire. It's not one of my goals. Why retire when I can work? Money makes sense. But different goals for different people.
I
Why would
agree.
you not want to retire?
I'm never gonna retire.
Do you
I'm
get a
gonna be like
pension?
this, sorry.
Work for the government, get a pension, free money.
Unless you're the post office. Because I hear them doing so. But
Or Sears. They're not getting their pension.
at least they have a market that they're selling to and they're relatively secure in it. The government sector is an important place to work. You could even be a politician. There's nothing stopping you other than votes and having a smile. So, any other questions?
What about thank you notes, follow-ups after
yes.
interviews?
Please send a thank you note. Sign it.
So not now.
Really?
Sign the thank you
Writers
note.
want to see
Or
it?
handwrite it. You just want to blow someone out of the water. Handwrite, legibly, a thank you note. Sign it. People will think that it is something that no one else does, and it'll make it stand out.
See, this whole fart does know a few things.
Yes, thank you letters are important. We actually send them to all of our patients when they come in. We appreciate them coming in. It's important that we help them be healthy, and that's important. So,
My hairdresser gives
Would
me
it depend on
chocolate.
the field whether to send a note or not? Like whether a note or an email? Because I think some fields like
what are you going into?
I'm a part of the ESD program, so I feel like usually the job has to do with like being an electrician or stuff like that. I don't know. It feels kind of, I don't know, like not appropriate to the job. Like I think an email would make more sense.
I think it's
Emails
depends on
are-
who's applying.
Generally relatively fast. You don't have a lot of weight. When you can hold something physical, it's sometimes important. Especially to GIs, boomers, the answers. An email's not as important. To you and me, yeah, an email would be fine. That would be perfect. But to someone who's a little older, or even to me actually, because I have those values instilled upon me by my employer that I had to do these things for in order to get a job. Sent a letter, as not as inefficient as the postal system is, you still get something physical. And I know that you've taken the time to write something out or sign it.
So the AE classes heard this yesterday, what you're talking about, Harrison. The ACOM class didn't, because we're the touchy-feely side, so I try to stay away from the handwriting stuff. However, ACOMers, what Miss Liz talked about yesterday with the AE classes is when you get out to your car, sit down, fill out that thank you card right there inside your car, and either, like Harrison said, drop it in the post office as you go off to your next place, or walk it in and give it to the receptionist so that they have it. So that you don't, a week later, you don't go, oh, I forgot.
Yeah.
So that's all the AE stuff you guys are gonna get.
Or you can drop it in their mailbox if you don't want to go back in.
It's all of it.
So if you do a panel hiring board like we do,
Yeah.
who do you address it to?
You can always go to whom it may concern. Or you can, if you've already had the interview and you're going to write the letter, you can always try to remember, one specific person or the panel as a whole. Obviously, you guys introduced yourself, obviously, correct? So, hi, I'm Mr. Smith. If you want to be formal, if not, hi, I'm Harrison. I'll be conducting the interview today. This is blah, blah, blah. And you could write individual ones. That's very nice. It's very personal. Make it personal. Try, communicate to them that you're a person, you understand that they're conducting a job the same as you're trying. So that's always nice. I personally like reading the letters. It's very touching when I get them, which is like 3 in my 2 years of service at Walla Walla Dental Care. But it's nice. A lot of them were very heartfelt, and we hired them like that. They showed the person who writes the letter is also the same person who passes the cheeseburger test and goes above and beyond the job interview, is usually relatively comfortable. Your interviewers will understand you're a little on edge. Everybody's very nervous when they're applying for a job. They were when they applied for their job, unless they were promoted into it. But you're nervous but excited is what they're like. And be confident. Like know who you are and what you're trying to solve, which is it's always pleasant. Anything else?
Any other questions? Harrison, we want to thank you very much for sharing your
Don't thank
time
me.
with
I
us.
sat up here and rambled.
No, you put out a lot of stuff. All the things we've been talking about. I appreciate it.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Harrison.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.